Welcome to Magda K Hub. Listen closely. I remember sitting in a coffee shop a few years ago, eavesdropping on two women at the next table. One of them was venting about her love life, and she said something that stopped me mid-sip, curious. He thinks he's amazing because he can lift me up against the wall, but I just want him to hold me still on the bed for 5 minutes. Why is that harder? The other woman just nodded and said because being still is scarier for them. Moving is easy. Looking you in the eyes, that's the hard part. Thoughtful. There's a quote that fits here. The body says what words cannot. Women beg for positions that let their bodies speak. They beg to be held, to be seen, to be worshipped. And the crazy part exhales. Most of these positions don't require any skill at all. They just require you to show up. Welcome back to Feminine Insight. Today we are diving deep into something I don't see talked about enough. 5 positions women beg for but men never try. And trust me, this isn't about technique. It's about psychology. It's about what women actually crave behind closed doors. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos. And if this topic interests you, go ahead and like this video so more women can find this conversation. Let's talk about the lotus position. It's simple to describe, but it's surprisingly difficult to find. The woman sits in the man's lap, wrapping her legs around his waist, while he sits cross-legged or with his legs folded. You are face to face, chest to chest. There is no distance between you. This is the first thing women crave about it. The proximity. In this position, your bodies are stacked vertically. It isn't about thrusting or power. It's about rocking. It's a gentle circular motion that requires the man to sit still and hold her weight. For a woman, this is where the psychology kicks in. When she wraps her legs around him and he holds her there, she is completely vulnerable. Her face is right there. He can see every expression, every flutter of her eyelids, every bite of her lip. Many men avoid this because it feels passive. They feel like they aren't doing anything. They worry they look silly just sitting there. But for a woman, the act of a man being present in that stillness is the most active thing he can do. She feels his breath on her neck. She can run her fingers through his hair. She can rest her head on his shoulder. It turns intimacy into a hug, which is something women are wired to crave. It also forces a different rhythm. You can't rush in the lotus. If you try to move fast, you lose your balance. You have to sync up your breathing. You have to look at each other. When a woman begs for this, she isn't begging for a physical position. She is begging for emotional safety. She wants to feel held, not just entered. She wants to feel like she is being cherished, not just pursued. It is the difference between a physical act and a spiritual connection. When a man finally tries it, he usually realizes that the intensity of eye contact and the warmth of her body pressed against his is a feeling no amount of acrobatics can ever replace. It's the feeling of being truly invited in. Let's talk about spooning. On the surface, it sounds like the lazy option. It's the thing you do when you're too tired for anything else. But that is a massive misunderstanding of what spooning actually offers. It's the man lying on his side, curved behind the woman, his chest pressed against her back. He is the big spoon, she is the little spoon. That visual alone explains why women want it so badly. It is the ultimate position of being sheltered. When a woman is curled up and a man wraps himself around her, she is literally surrounded by him. His arm is around her waist, his legs are tangled with hers, and his mouth is right by her ear. There is nowhere to hide. She is completely exposed with her back to him, which requires a level of trust that is incredibly intimate. She is giving him her blind spot. Men sometimes skip this because it feels secondary. It feels like foreplay or after hour, but not the main event. But for a woman, the main event is often the feeling of being wanted while she isn't performing. In spooning, she isn't facing him. She doesn't have to smile or moan on cue or look sexy. She can just exist. And when he holds her like that and intimacy happens from behind, it sends a message that he wants her even when she isn't looking at him. He wants the back of her neck. He wants the curve of her spine. The physical sensation is also unique. It allows for a slow, grinding rhythm that is more about depth than speed. It's a whisper, not a shout. There's also something deeply primal about it. It mimics the feeling of being protected from the world. When a man spoons a woman, he is essentially building a fortress around her with his body. She feels his heartbeat on her back. She feels his breath in her hair. She feels small and safe. When a woman begs for this, she is begging to be wrapped up. She wants to feel like she is the most precious thing in the room, something to be held and guarded. She wants to wake up and feel that weight still behind her. It's not just a position, it's a feeling of being completely and utterly surrounded by someone who has no intention of letting go. Let's talk about the chair. Now, on paper, this looks like it's all about the woman. She is on top. She is in control. She is doing the work. But the psychology of the chair position is actually far more about what the man is doing while sitting perfectly still. It involves him sitting on a sturdy chair, maybe a dining chair, or the edge of a bed with his feet flat on the floor. She then straddles him facing him, wrapping her legs around his waist. Here is the secret that men often miss. When a woman is on top in a bed, she is usually hunched over, holding herself up, trying not to collapse onto him. It can be a workout, but in the chair, she is sitting upright. She is vertical. He is below her, looking up at her. For a woman, being looked up at while she is in control of the rhythm is an incredibly empowering feeling. She feels worried. Men sometimes resist this because they feel removed from the action. They feel like they're just a seat. They would rather be standing or moving or doing something that feels like leading, but women don't want to be led all the time. Sometimes a woman wants to put on a show. She wants to lean back slightly, place her hands on his knees, and move in a way that feels good to her. She wants to see his face as he watches her. The chair also allows for a level of eye contact that is different from lying down. When you are sitting upright, eye to eye, there is nowhere to hide. He can see her entire body. He can run his hands up her thighs, rest them on her hips, or pull her close for a kiss. He is the anchor. She is the movement. It is a perfect balance of give and take. He gives her the stability, the platform, the safe place to land. She gives him the view, the motion, the intimacy. When a woman begs for this, she is begging for the chance to be seen. She wants to take the wheel for a minute without feeling like she is doing all the heavy lifting. She wants to feel his hands gripping her, guiding her slightly, but letting her set the pace. It is the feeling of being in control while simultaneously being completely supported. She gets to be the star of the show, but only because he built the stage for her. It turns the dynamic into a partnership of equals where both are actively participating, just in different essential ways. Let's talk about legs on shoulders. This is one of those positions that looks intense in the moment, and it certainly can be, but the psychology behind why women beg for it is often misunderstood. It starts with her on her back, and then he takes her legs and lifts them, resting her ankles or calves on his shoulders. He is essentially folding her in half. Now, physically, this allows for deep penetration. That is the obvious part. But for a woman, the emotional and psychological component is much louder than the physical one. When her legs go up, she becomes completely open. There is no crossing, no closing off, no hiding. She is lying there exposed with her legs framing his face. It is the ultimate position of surrender. She is saying, "Here I am, I trust you completely." Men sometimes avoid this because it looks like work. You are holding her legs, you are supporting her weight, you are leaning into her. But what men don't realize is that the woman is not looking for acrobatics here. She is looking for the feeling of being completely vulnerable while the man looks at her. When he holds her legs like that, he has a perfect view of her face. He can see every reaction, every gasp, every time she closes her eyes. There is no turning away. There is also something about the angle that changes everything. It changes the way he kisses her. He has to lean down to reach her lips. He has to stretch forward to whisper to her. He is covering her, hovering over her, surrounding her. She feels small. She feels delicate. She feels like he could just wrap himself around her completely. And when he looks down past her legs, straight into her eyes, it creates a line of sight that feels incredibly intimate. It is just the two of them locked in. When a woman begs for this, she is begging to be unfolded. She wants to be opened up and explored, but gently. She wants to feel his weight, but also his control. She wants to know that he can handle her vulnerability, that he won't be scared by how exposed she is. It is a test of trust passed in real time. She is giving him everything, and in return he holds her legs, supports her, and meets her gaze. It is vulnerable, deep, and intensely personal. It is the feeling of being completely at someone's mercy and knowing deep down that you are completely safe there. Let's talk about the seated oral position. This is the one that requires the most from the man physically but gives the most to the woman emotionally. It's simple to describe. She sits on the edge of the bed or on a sturdy chair, leaning back slightly. He kneels down on the floor in front of her. That's it. He is on his knees looking up. Now, men often skip this instinctively. It's not that they don't want to please her. It's that kneeling is vulnerable. It's submissive. In a world where men are taught to lead, to stand tall, to be the conqueror, getting down on your knees in front of a woman feels like lowering yourself. But here is what women understand that men sometimes miss. When a man kneels, he isn't lowering himself. He is elevating her. For a woman, being in this position is about receiving. It is about being allowed to just sit there, to lean back, to close her eyes, and to receive pleasure without having to give anything back in that moment. She doesn't have to worry about how she looks. She doesn't have to perform. She doesn't have to contort her body into a pretzel to make it easier for him. She just gets to exist and feel. There is also the visual of it. She looks down and there he is below her, focused entirely on her. His hands are on her thighs or holding her hips. He is exactly where he wants to be. That visual alone, looking down and seeing a man completely absorbed in her pleasure, is intoxicating for a woman. It makes her feel desired in a way that is different from penetration. It makes her feel warped. The psychology here is about surrender, but from his side, he surrenders his comfort. Kneeling on a hard floor isn't comfortable. He surrenders his pride. He puts her pleasure literally in front of his face. When a woman begs for this, she is begging to be put on a pedestal. She wants to feel like she is worth the discomfort of the floor. She wants to feel like a queen being served by someone who adores her. It turns the tables completely. It says that her pleasure is important enough to kneel for. It says that he finds her so intoxicating that he doesn't care about his own position. He just wants to be there, right there, making her feel good. And when she runs her fingers through his hair and looks down at him, she feels powerful, cherished, and deeply, deeply loved.